Call was a split call. Catherine Delahunty, 5 minutes.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker. Tēnā koutou te whare paramata. I would like to address the Prime Minister's speech on the theme of leadership, but before I do that, I'd like to acknowledge the loss of two extremely visionary leaders in our region over the summer. Gordon Stevenson, extraordinary man who developed the Maungatautari Reserve and also the QE2 Trust, and also Barry Brickell, who previous speaker mentioned, who is a friend of mine for 42 years, a unique master craftsman and conservationist who has fought very hard for the conservation values of our area. But back to the Prime Minister's speech and the issue of leadership. Leadership's critical at all levels, and leadership is not about going to the rugby when things get tough. The Prime Minister's leadership has actually raised eyebrows and questions in this last week. And after Ratana, I think there's some important issues that the Prime Minister didn't want to hear and should listen to. When we went to Ratana, on the Pai, there was a very clear message to the government. The message was, you have failed, they have failed to listen to the concerns and failed to engage with Te Tiriti relationship seriously. It could not have been laid down more clearly by people such as Rahui Papa, and I acknowledge his family's loss as well recently, and respects to his whānau, but also respects to him for the kōrero and the kōrero of others on that Pai who made it crystal clear that they could not support the TPPA when it had been imposed on them in this abusive way, let alone the content of it, which my colleague Marama Davidson will address shortly. So Ratana was the beginning, and the Prime Minister didn't like it. It was obvious he didn't like it. So when he was challenged by Titi about the TPPA, instead of saying, I will support the kawa of the marae, he threw his toys and said, no, I'm not coming. I've been to Waitangi every year, Mr Speaker, for 15 years. And so far, no one's thrown a squeaky sex toy or replica phallus at me yet for undermining sovereignty. But there's still time. Who knows? However, if they do, I'll still be coming back. Because actually, we're there to listen. Whakarongo ki te treaty o Waitangi and the people who hold it in their hearts in Tai Tokerau. So it was very disappointing to see the Prime Minister refusing to acknowledge protocol. A protocol was offered to him not to politicise the pōwhiri and to speak elsewhere. He couldn't abide by that, so he went to the rugby and had a sulk. That's not leadership. We need visionary leadership in this country that will face up to the challenges. And if we put out challenges that others disagree with, we should face those challenges. Politicians, we have protocols here that all the citizens who come to Parliament have to abide by. Materia Ture made this excellent point, that when Ngāpui or any other tangata whenua iwi come to Parliament, they have to abide by our protocols. When we go to marae, it is our responsibility as politicians as well as citizens to abide by the kawa of those marae. And what's more, particularly at Waitangi on Waitangi Day, our job is to whakarongo, to listen. So the Greens actually went to Waitangi to listen. We had a warm welcome at Titi Marae. We stuck to the kawa. We did not politicise the pōwhiri. We went to the political tent and we listened in the political tent where we heard about the TPPA. We heard about Indigenous voices from COP21. We heard about water, the importance of protecting water by not pretending no one owns it, and we listened and contributed. That is what leadership is about. Leadership is not about being in the club internationally, imposing your will upon a country, and then turning around and saying, I'm not going to engage because I want to set the rules. That is not Te Tiriti o Waitangi, it is not respectful, and it is not the way in which leadership takes place. I'm proud to be a Green member because I think we demonstrated leadership at Waitangi and we received the benefit of others' leadership. I honour Te Tiriti o Waitangi. Kia ora tātou katoa.